What's up, GBA fans, and welcome to week number 1 of the GBA Power Rankings. I am MightyMamoswine, aka Miguel, the coach of the Real Morel, and I am joined by my fellow friend and GBA veteran, coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, John.
Hey guys, I'm here. What is up? And well, Miguel said my name, so I can't really introduce myself. But we are sorry for the wait. I had to move into college, so I was missing in action from like Saturday to now. So the problem with that is that's when all the matches were uploaded, when we could actually watch them. In the future, we'll try to get it up on time, but this week it was just not possible. Sorry for the wait, and I really hope you guys enjoy this. We had an incredible week 1. All of the matches were good except for one, but we'll get into that really quickly. And Miguel, whenever you want to start the list, just get into it, man.
We're just gonna jump into it to make sure we don't take all of your time, and we'll get straight to the point. So we're both gonna you can see our list there on the screen. I'm gonna go over my the guy that I have in the last position, which has not changed from the previous week, but it's good that now we have a lot of reference from the matches and such, so we can make a more accurate power rankings and all that goodness. So 8th for me is Hardy. Now I don't want to ramble on too much with this, but there's certain things that I want to point out. Hardy, first of all, before I say anything, remember that I love you, man, and everything that I say is to try to help you improve. Now, the reason I have Hardy so low, the lowest on the list, is because I'm going to be honest, I was very underwhelmed by his preparation and his plays this match. I think he made a lot of mistakes preparing, and he brought a lot of sets that did not make any sense to me. When I saw the matchup initially, I could not understand how Gearheart won 5-0. I just could not understand it because Gearhart's core got destroyed by his Nidoking. Even though he had a quote-unquote check, it wasn't really the most reliable check to Nidoking, because once the air balloon got popped from that Tentacruel, it was over. Hardy brought a lot of very weird sets, and I just do not agree with a lot of things he brought. Like Nidoking, he brought a physically offensive Nidoking with Super Fang, which I just do not understand. Earthquake does not get boosted by Sheer Force, so it's much weaker than Earth Power, and I just don't really agree with the way he used Nidoking. Nidoking is such a powerful Pokemon. He could have used this so much better, and I just don't think that he really utilized to his full potential, and he let it stay in. He stayed in on a Tentacruel and let it take a Scald because he didn't know he said he was unfamiliar with speed tiers. Hardy, if you want to be competitive in this league, if you want to go far, you have to know the speeds of your own Pokemon and the Pokemon that you're facing. It's not that hard, buddy. It's not that hard. There's not that many mons. You gotta learn this, man. You gotta know what outspeeds what. You can't expect to win if you don't know that Tentacruel outspeeds your Nidoking. That's crucial. That is very crucial. Nidoking was your win condition. On top of that, he brought a very weird Weavile. Weavile could have been his response to Victini. He could have packed Pursuit on it. And after Victini, there was a point where it went for 2 consecutive V-creates, and he brought in Weavile, and Weavile had Fake Out. And he went for Fake Out, and that's like, Hardy, you have to understand. Look at the logic behind your plays. Victini is at -2 defenses, -2 speed, and it is a Psychic type. You are a Dark type. In what universe is he going to stay in? In what universe is he not going to switch out into his Clefable? Why did you go for Fake Out? Why, at the very least, did you not go for Knockoff? Why do you want to Fake Out a Pokemon that's slower than you and that's gonna die to one hit? You have to think of your plays, Hardy, and you have to step up your game a lot. And I say this, I'm being very honest with you here. You have to improve. You have to not improve, but basically think more about your plays, think more of your preparation, look more into it, and remember, you have to be very clear with the speed tiers as well. That is crucial for any match. So I have Hardy down here below because I feel like he has a lot that he needs to improve, and his performance was a little bit underwhelming. But hey, it's only week 1. It's only week 1, so I'm expecting him to, improve things for week 2. How about you, John?
Well, I'm just going to kind of piggyback off some of the things you said now. For me, I'm terrible with speed tiers. If you ever watch any of my videos, if I'm doing a Showdown Live, I don't know shit off the top of my head. But when I get into the GBA, the first thing I do, and I used to write it down on paper, and now I do it in spreadsheets to make it a little bit more organized, but I write down every single Pokemon speed on my team and the other Pokemon team. And I go to level 50, and then I write down the max speed if it's just 252, and then max speed if it's 252, jolly or timid. That way I see all the numbers in front of me, and I know right away what mons that I have on my team are faster than his, and what mons on his team are faster than my big threats. The Tentacruel Nidoking thing is unacceptable, but it's something that should never happen again. If, you know, Hardy watches this video, and I hope you're watching this, Hardy, do what I just said. Do that when preparing. Also, there is no excuse for Nidoking to not get 2 or 3 kills in this match, or at least whittle down Registeel or Clefable.
I agree completely.
And the one thing that actually bothered me about this match was Hardy's way to beat Registeel and Clefable, a Pokemon with Unaware, and then a bulky Steel type, was Calm Mind Sylveon. And I like the idea of him trying to, you know, set up on those 2 wallish mons, because that is a possibility, but it's also not something that's going to work 9 times out of 10. So Hardy's a great player. I think he can bounce back from this, and I think he's going to learn more from all these losses and everyone else's match. I mean, he's the only person beyond Mike, who we also have ranked lower, who has not played in a league format, and they need to catch up, but I think they can. So Hardy, you got to put more time in. If you need to ask people questions, little questions, not make your team, nothing like that, just little questions, please do. Anyone. That's how this is. You need to learn, and I think you will. But I think we gave Hardy a lot of information. I'm going to move on to Mike. Now, I don't have a ton to say about Mike. Mike is a great player, and he proved to everyone he can play in this league. And he made a lot of good plays against the person we think is the best in the league right now. But the thing he needs to do is look for the long game. Because when you look at the game and you say, oh wow, 1-0, 1%, that's incredible. But when you watch the game and you see that George he made the plays at the end to make it a guaranteed win, then you see, okay, well, Mike had no control by that later half of the game. He played an incredible first half, but he needs to learn to play for the long game. And I think if he can do that, he's going to actually be a contender. He's shown that he's a great player. He can make predictions. But now he just needs to learn to play for the long game and figure out what his win conditions are and preserve them so that he can close the game next time. Miguel?
Yeah, when it comes to Michael, I'm really proud of him, first of all, because he was facing, you remember George, the terror of George in Season 1 of the D-League. He 5-0'd people, 4-0'd them at the beginning. Everybody was afraid of him. And I'm very proud of Michael for putting up a great fight. I do agree with you. Michael is still at a stage. The reason I can't put him more, I honestly wanted to put him higher, but I can't put him above the rest of the people just yet because he still he still plays turn by turn. And that is something that he needs to take it to the next step. He needs to be like, okay, what do I need to preserve to win? But what I really like about Michael is that I feel like he's learning extremely fast. He learns from his mistakes. I can guarantee you that he's not going to be surprised by a Scarfer no more. That Zapdos on his Aerodactyl, he learned from that mistake. He did not even think about it being Scarfed. That's not going to happen anymore. He's always going to question the Scarf or not from now on. I know he's the kind of person that's going to learn and he's going to improve. And I'm very happy with his performance. I think he could not have asked for a better showing considering his experience. He really brought it to George, but it is true that George did stay in control towards the end. He was quite unsure if he won or not because he wasn't sure if the Mew had Sucker Punch or if it was Scarfed, but he pretty much did exactly what he needed to do to ensure his victory, and Michael kind of lost control towards the end completely. But still, I am very, very proud of him. I think he has a long way to go. I think this is just the beginning, and I think Mike will improve a lot as matches come by. And I'm really looking forward to his development as a player in this league. And yeah, I'm very proud of him. But as of now, I cannot move him up because he still has to obviously win a game. And you know, we will see next week how he does. But I'm very proud of him. But yeah, there's still a lot of improvement to be done. But you know, it was definitely a very good start for him. So when it comes to my next guy on the list, me and John have a few discrepancies in these next few guys. I actually have Nick, the MightyMamoswine, at number 6. Well, John has him quite above. So, and I'm going to explain why I have Nick at number 6. The reason I have Nick at number 6 is because I believe his match was with Gassie. I believe it was a very sloppy match. I thought it was exciting. It was definitely exciting to watch. Don't get me wrong. It was very exciting, but it was sloppy. And when I beat my sloppies, there were a lot of questionable plays made. I think preparation was all right on both guys, but I think there were a lot of weird plays, and there were a lot of things that went wrong on both sides. But I felt like Nick he dropped the ball on a lot of plays, and I had to lower him on the power rankings because of that. I wasn't impressed by his performance, and there's quite a few reasons as to why. I think, for example, switching Skarmory on a Manaphy, not something I agree with this. Because, yeah, you may have Whirlwind, but you're going to lose your Skarmory immediately, you know, and because it's setup fodder. You know, you could just go for a Tail Glow on the switch in, and what are you going to do? You know? And on top of that, I like this hazard stacking approach. I think that was very effective, but I was bothered by the fact that he did not capitalize it. I also was bothered by how he sacked Mamoswine so early, you know, so easily. And then on top of that, one of the biggest plays, preparation-wise, I did not like the Choice Banded Entei because he had a Flash Fire Houndoom, and he fell right into that. And apparently, I may be wrong, but apparently he forgot that Houndoom learned Flash Fire, and that is a doo-doo. That is very bad. If you have an opponent with 11 Pokemon, you have to know all of their abilities. If you want to be the very best, like no one ever was, sorry about that, you have to know the abilities. So he fell into that, and then on top of that, he did not capitalize. After the Houndoom took down his Mamoswine with an Overheat, he brought in Manectric. What he should have done was brought in Entei, and extreme speeded that thing because Houndoom died upon re-entry with the hazards, but he did not even think about it being scarfed. He didn't even think about the possibility of the Houndoom being scarfed. He automatically assumed his Manectric was going to be faster, and he was left with a Manectric at like 15%, when it would have been at full. It would have probably won him the game, late game as well. So I just think that Nick needs to step up his game a little bit. Like I said, it's only week 1, but I did have to drop him for these reasons. You know, I just felt like he needs to. His performance was a little bit lackluster, but again, he has 7 more weeks to make up for that. How about you, John?
All right, well, I'm gonna have Gearheart at number 6, and it's really simple. Why he's at number 6?
But will you go over Nick, or will you go over him later on?
I think the way I'm gonna do it, it's gonna make more sense if I just stick with my number 6. Because
yeah, I actually like it that way. Go.
So my number 6 is Gearheart, and I mean, I love Hardy, but Hardy had a really, really weak showing, and 5-0ing the guy whose way to get rid of your Registeel and Clefable is Calm Mind Sylveon. It's just, I wasn't impressed. You know, there were some things with Gearhart's preparation that, you know, it was more average than anything. And I think Gearheart should be higher on my list. It's just I can't move him up. I can't be reactionary to him beating someone that just really didn't put much of a fight up in the match. And, you know, it's nothing against Hardy. It's just, it's, how can I move him up when he hasn't shown me anything concrete? Because until Hardy does something, you know, to move himself up, or even just give us, or let him praise him a little bit, beating him's not that big of a deal, you know? It's just, I don't know, I can't move him up. And I think everyone else played really well. Every other match was a 2-0, a 1-0, a 2-0. And this one, I mean, I think Gearheart played well. I just really want to see him against another person. So, Gearheart, if you're watching this, I truly think you should be higher, but I need to see you play someone else before I can actually evaluate that. And I believe you're probably, you know, going to win next game. I don't know who you're playing, but I'm going to say that because you've played incredibly, you know, so far in the season. You're 5-0, or you got a 5-0, you're 1-0. No one else is even close to that. Just beating the guy in last place week 1 when some of the sets he brought were kind of crazy. I can't move you up. So I hope you don't take that to heart. That's just my thoughts. I'm going to move on to Ellie. Now, I have Ellie below Nick, and you have Nick a lot lower, and that's fine. But the reason I have Ellie lower is her preparation, at least comparatively to her opponents, was really, really weak. And I think Ellie is a fantastic player. I actually think she's going to be a contender. A top 14, one of the best, but this week I had to drop her, and I couldn't drop Nick for the main reason. I'm going to talk about both of them. Nick was in the game the entire time, and he could have won if not for the crit. Now, Gassie probably had a much better chance to win even with the crit, But Ellie had no chance of winning that entire battle. Like, not one. And I saw people talking, you know, like, oh, she had all these great predictions. They did nothing. She didn't have the momentum at all. She made a quote-unquote good prediction to get an extra sensory off on the Crobat. Well, is it a good prediction when Crobat lives and gets a wish off, and then Will keeps the momentum? I'm just a little annoyed that I saw all those, you know, like all that nice praise on these plays that did nothing. I played someone Season 2 who made all those same kind of plays, but by the end of the match, he had no chance to win. And it was just like, sweet, you made these cool predictions, but that's just, it meant nothing. So I have to drop her, because if you don't have any momentum or any chance to win throughout an entire battle, that's not only bad preparation, but even your predictions couldn't get you back in the game. So it's, I mean, I don't want to sound so negative. It's just, you really got to step up your preparation, Ellie. You're much better than that. I know you are much better. I expect you to win, and I expect you to have a winning record. I expect a 6-2 season, a 5-3 season. Great player, great team. You cannot go into a match and be so underprepared that you can't even find a way to gain momentum. That is just, that's not something we should be seeing from someone who's as good as her with a team as good as that. Now, you know, Will is a fantastic player, as we both knew and saw, but I was very, very underwhelmed with her preparation. Her play, I can't even judge that, because who cares if you make predictions that do nothing for you. But that's the end of my little rant. Miguel, you can continue.
Right. I'm going to hop into Gearheart. I actually did move him up because I do agree that his a victory over Hardy on that week, considering his preparation and his strategy, is not really that impressive. But at the same time, I do think that he actually did showcase off a little bit. I did like his team. I like the way he used his core. I did not like the quote-unquote check response to Nidoking, because I thought it was a very weak one, you know, because it's very easy to get your balloon popped and then you literally have no switches to it. But at the same time, your team does get destroyed by it anyway, so I do understand that you don't have anything better to provide for that. But I think that, you know, that kind of response for it, I think he felt a little bit too confident in it. At least that's the impression that I got on his team building video. So when it comes to Gearheart, he did what he had to do. I think it is a little bit impressive, even though Hardy really underperformed in that game. He still had a terrible matchup, terrible matchup, and he managed to 5-0 him. So I do gotta move him up a little bit. I am really looking forward to Gearhart's future performances and how well he adapts to this competition. But as of right now, you know, I'm gonna put him at number 5. I think he's earned it, and I think he's proven to be more than Nick. You may think, we may discuss a little bit Nick, well, you'll talk about him later. I still think, even though the match was very close, I think it was a very sloppy match, and I think he made a lot of misplays. And that is why I actually have the next one, who is Ellie, at number 4. I know where you're coming from, John, and I kind of agree with you in a lot of things, but I'm going to take a different approach to it. And what I mean by that is that I'm not going to take away from Ellie, I'm just going to add to Will's performance. I just think Ellie faced a monster this week. I think Ellie faced one of the top contenders in this season, a player that I'm extremely impressed with, and I think Ellie actually brought a strong team. I think she prepared well, and I think she played well too, but I just think it's a point where you can be at a good level, but you just fall short. You know, you just get outmatched a little bit that week, and that's what happened with Ellie. I think Ellie did well. I think her like I said, I liked a lot of her sets. I like a lot of her plays. I like how she was always playing for the late game, and there was a point where she realized that, you know, victory was kind of low probability, but, you know, she kept on fighting to the end. And even though it wasn't, like I said, a scrap like Gassie and Nick was, Ellie did not make much misplays at all. Ellie did not like play bad. She just got outplanned, and she just got out. Like Will's preparation was superior, was beautiful. I'll get into that later, but it was really good, and she just fell behind. In the case of Nick, I feel like he actually had the chance to win, but he made a lot of bad plays. he made a lot of, I'm not going to say bad, I'm going to say questionable. He just made a lot of questionable plays. He did not capitalize on certain scenarios, and I do think that crit did not matter, personally. And I feel like Ellie has shown more to me than Nick, and I feel like even though she lost this week, she lost against a top contender who could potentially become the best in this league. Who knows? But I really think that Ellie's going to come back strong next week. Like I said, I do agree with you on the whole weekly recap things. I think that the approach that they took towards that is wrong. I think you know, it's willed. He deserves a praise. She didn't she played good, but she was she just underprepared. Like, she prepared, but she just got out prepared, basically. So I put Ellie in that position because I feel like she still has a lot to show. And I feel like this loss really doesn't set her back at all, personally, even though she did drop one spot for me. But that's because somebody else, you know, performed better and kind of earned that spot as well. But I have Ellie higher up and Nick lower because of that. We may disagree, but hey, that's why there's two people. You're not one, right? We can't always think the same. So go on, John. Go on to your number 3.
Number 4. But no, I agree, and I would rather disagree
4,
because it creates, you know, a better discussion, and it allows us to talk about what we believe. And it's not us feeding you guys shit and you just believing everything we say. You guys should make your own rankings. The players should see these and be like, I want to get higher on the list. Ellie should see this and be pissed she's not in the top 4 and play better. And that was my point on Ellie. You know, we can say she made good plays, she can this and that. My only problem is she was never in control. And if I believe she's going to be a top player, a playoff team, this and that, I want to see something better because I expect her to be able to beat the best players. And hopefully this is just fuel for her fire. Now, I didn't drop Nick because there's 4 teams to make the playoffs. Me and Miguel both agreed Gassie should move up to number 3, making him a playoff contender. And I believe there's a lot of worth being able to team build like Nick did, which was good, and be in the game until the late game with another playoff contender at this point. Now, Nick made a lot of misplays, and I'm going to chalk that up to not being ready for just a match of this, you know, magnitude, and kind of not choking, but getting a little nervous. That's when I saw those plays, it just seemed like he was, in the moment, he wasn't able to make the right plays and didn't keep his composure. But that's something that can definitely be fixed. Being able to team build and be in the match that late and knowing what your win conditions are a lot better than, you know, like that. It's like, that's more impressive than the, oh shit, he's scarfed. Next time, like you said, Mike's going to remember that scarfed. Nick's also going to think, oh, maybe that's scarfed. So I think he can build upon this. Next week, if he does not build upon this, he is dropping big time. But I believe those are the little things you grow off of. But at the same time, it's just, I mean, him and Ellie, I mean, if they could be neck and neck and just both be 4 and 5, they would be. I think they both had some, you know, big mess ups. I both have a lot of faith in both of them. But at the same time, we've had another person really show his merit. And what I really noticed was 3 people that we did not know how well they'd play in the league format. One of them prepped and played better than both of them prepped and played. And that's why Nick and Ellie would be 4 and 5, and someone else has moved up. But is it my turn to go to number 3, or is it you?
It's your turn.
Well, that is fantastic, because I want to go into Gassie. Now, a lot of people said his draft was bad. A lot of people underrated him. But the one thing I said when I looked at his draft is I thought it was odd, but I think he can make a team that he's going to be good with every single week. He has 3 dragons. He does not have to bring 3 dragons every week. And this week he did show that. He planned great. He played great. And he took down one of the top people in our, you know, first power rankings. He took down the person who a lot of people said had the best team. And I honestly, there's not even much to say. I knew Gassie was good. He's a great player. He played for the late game. He prepped well. And I think he really showed a lot of people he's going to be a top contender this season. He's a really good player. I cannot wait to see him play either George or Will. I want to see him really test himself against them, play Ellie, just play other people, because I really expect him to stay in this top 4. I don't think anyone's going to knock him down, and he's here to play. He's for real, and it's exciting. You know, I love it when someone puts people down and he's able to show them that he's a lot better than that. And I'm excited for Gassie to play. Not much to say. He just played really well, you know, and that's that's the great part about Gassie. So that one was pretty easy for me. So Miguel, if you want to continue.
All right, let's go. So I'll also have SupahGassy at number 3, and I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy because I was a little bit ruthless with him last week because I still believe his draft is a little bit doo-doo, but he has shown that he knows how to use that team. He can use it to his advantage. Though I have to say that his match against Nick, like I've mentioned before, was sloppy. It was very exciting, but it wasn't the most, it wasn't the match that was the biggest fan of, basically. I think Nick misplayed heavily in that game, and I also think Gassie misplayed too. I did like things like physically defensive Doublade for Lucario, and I also like the way he was so aggressive with his Houndoom. You know, he didn't think twice about it, he just sent it in on that Sacred Fire, and he really was able to capitalize on that. I like the Specs, Latios, I like a lot of the things he brought, but at the same time, I feel like he may get a little bit pressured at times. I feel like the hazard stacking kind of pressured him during the match, and if Nick had executed that a little bit better, it could have been a different story. I think that Gassie is definitely going to be a top contender. I think he's going to perform well. I think even though he has a very odd draft that I'm not a fan of, he can make it work. It's his team. That's why it's his, and it's not mine. And I think you know, the future's looking bright for him. I really am looking forward to his next matches. I still think he needs to prove himself, though. I think he's up to a good start, but it's only week 1. I am, like I said, looking forward to his future matches, like I've said numerous times already. But it's just a matter of, will he continue to use this team as effectively? Will he be able to showcase off diversity with it? And will he be able to adapt different matchups and such? Because he does not have, like I said, the most diverse of drafts, because he has a lot of things that do similar, you know, a lot of similar typings, and he has a lot of things that are kind of, I'm still not sold on the manual rain aspect of it too. But hey, he did what he had to do this week. I'm proud of him, and I'm looking forward to his week 2. And now we're going to move on. We're gonna move on to personally, the person who actually impressed me the most this week. I was very, very, very impressed by Mr. Sir William Macadii, aka the Fish Guy. The coach of the Bouffalant Bills is number 2 in my power rankings, and John's as well. And he hasn't moved there, you know, he hasn't moved up or down, but he's proven a lot to me. This match was a beautiful thing to watch. His preparation was a beautiful thing to witness. That bolt turn core with the balanced defenses and the wall breaking X-Cloud, that is such... This guy reminds me of me, John. This guy, like, his team building reminds me of me. Like,
should we drop him? Should we drop him?
Fuck you. No, seriously, I love this guy. I love his team. I love his preparation. It was a pleasure to watch his battle and go, you know, get into his head and see the reason behind all of his plays. He was, like we've mentioned numerous times before, he was in absolute control the entire match, and he was not facing no slouch. He was facing what I believe is a top contender in this league in Ellie, and she brought a strong team, and she made strong plays as well, but she just could not manage to get a hold of the rings, you know. She just could not manage to take control at any time. He always had the upper hand. He preserved his win conditions. I cannot emphasize this enough. He preserved his win conditions. He played for the late game. He did what he had to do. And at the end, he was like, screw differential. I'm going to ensure my victory. And that is what you got to do. You never risk a victory for differential. Don't be dumb. That is stupid. You go for the win. You have to win. That is all that matters. Differential comes secondary. I never once focused on differential unless I had ensured my victory. So I'm a very big fan of how he performed. I really enjoyed his match. By far the most impressive performance for me this week, and I am most definitely looking forward to his match against George on week 2. That is going to be so hype. I can't wait, and I'm overall very impressed with Will, and I'm very happy that he's a part of this league, and I'm excited to, you know, to see what's to come from him. How about you, John?
Okay, well, again, these next 2 are going to be pretty simple for me, because obviously they're not moving now. Again, when we talked about Will's team, everyone ranked it so low, but no one had a problem with it. And I never understood that. And I was like, Will's team is one of the best by far. He's a fantastic player, and he team builds just, it's incredible. What we saw, his team was great. He team built an incredible team, and he never lost momentum. I'm not surprised in the slightest. This guy is the real deal. He is a fantastic player. He's one of those players I'm excited, and I hope he sticks around for a while in the GBA scene because he's just so good. And not only is he good at battling, not only is he good at team building or drafting, he's good at all three of them. And that whole package is really exciting. But a lot of people are trying to be too reactionary with this and want to move him up. George and Will play this week. One of them got a 2-0 win, one of them got a 1-0 win. I'm excited for this week when we'll find out who the real deal is because I'm already done with Will. He just played incredibly. He never lost momentum. That game, it was fantastic. Everything he did was a part of a plan that worked out, and it was amazing. I don't think the 2-0 victory shows how complete and how dominant that win was. But moving on to George, he got a 1-0 win against Mike, and it was a solid game. There was no misplays that I really noticed on either play. I saw George come out and make a few predictions that were fine, and he saved his win condition and won and made sure it was a complete victory. That also, the 1-0 does not show how much of a dominant win that was for George. And when I say dominant, I don't think it's even close to the dominance of Will, but it was a game that he completely controlled in the late game. That game was won a long time ago, and he just did everything to ensure that was going to be a victory for him. And, I mean, it's one of those things where George gets, you know, he wins 1-0, and he gets pissed off. He's pissed off that he only won 1-0. I saw him going off in a chat, and it's him being that crazy about how well he wants to perform. When you win a match, you should never be upset. And I don't even think he's happy he won because he feels like he needs to perform better. And this week against Will, I cannot wait. I am going to say they're both 50-50 for chances of winning. Will really proved himself. George has proved himself in the past, and this week he played great. I think this is going to be a really showing game, and it might develop one of the bigger or best GBA rivalries we've ever seen. And whoever wins that match will be #1 next week unless somebody crits someone like 10 times in a row. So if you think one of them's better than the other, just wait for this week, please. This game is going to be potentially one of the most exciting of the entire season. And before Miguel goes and talks about George, I just want to say, this season I'm really excited. For the D-League, we have, this season's going to be so much better in the terms of how many competitive teams than Season 1. I believe at this point, Season 1, it felt like it was 4 really good contenders and 4 teams that just weren't able to last the whole season and do that well. And that's no disrespect to everyone. I feel like we have 6 players who might be a playoff team, 6 players that are really good, and 2 players who have the potential to learn throughout the season, and if they can learn quickly, can jump into that playoff contending status. So I'm really excited. I think this is going to be great. Doing this power ranking, it makes me so excited that my #6 guy won 5-0, and I believe he's going to hop up in the rankings big time if he wins next week. So Miguel, you can continue, but I just want to say this season is going to be amazing.
This season is hype, man. This season is hype. I can't wait myself. George, my boy George. What can I say about him? He faced Michael. Like I said, I was very impressed by Michael's performance. But at the same time, I also, I prepped Michael. I helped him, prepare for this game. I tried to, I had a pep talk with him prior, and Michael's just proved to be a guy that really, learns really fast. And he's like a good soldier, He does what he has to do and stuff, and he performed really well. But George showcased off why he's George. He had a strong showing. He really capitalized on his offensive shaman set and the Scarf Zapdos. And until the end, he kind of he was kind of victim of the fact that Mew is so unpredictable that he did not expect it to be so offensive and have Ice Beam. And he kind of lured himself into that position. He did not play that game perfectly. He made certain mistakes, but we're all human. Like, what I can't stand is when people jump, I saw some people jump over him in the comment section and stuff, and it's kind of like, you guys just don't understand. Like, it's just ignorance. George has been performing at the toppest of levels for the longest of time, and he knows what his mistakes were. He's fully aware of what he did wrong, and like you said, he's pissed. He wants to prove that he's the best. He doesn't want close games. He wants to dominate. He's George. He wants that. He wants to be the number one. He wants to win. So I'm excited for the upcoming season for George, and I think he's going to rack up quite a lot of victories because this kid is just on another level. But he has the ultimate test next week with Will, and like I said, I also agree that it's a coin flip for me. I do not know who's gonna win because I'm really impressed by Will, and I know George, while he's amazing and he's an incredible player, he's a human being, and every human being is beatable. So I'm very excited for these two. I definitely think that both George and Will are going to be top contenders throughout the entire season. And like you said, I'm expecting perhaps a pretty dope, pretty powerful rivalry to develop this season between the two. And yeah, nothing more to say about George. He played for the late game. He did what he had to do to win. Like I said, I can't emphasize enough how happy I am with Michael, even though we're talking about George right now. But overall, just wanted to express that I'm very happy with this season because we have veterans, we have up-and-comers, we have people who are learning and improving on a daily basis. There's a lot of competition and so many things. Who knows how this season is going to develop? Who knows who makes the playoffs? We could be very surprised. But I'm very excited. And George is number one. He may be number two next week. We'll see. I'm pumped for that. I'm pumped for season 2 of the GBA D-League, and I hope you guys are too. If you are, let us know in the comment section down below. We love to see that hype. We love to share that hype. That's why we do this. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed these power rankings. I hope we didn't ramble on for too much. I think we did a decent job at not rambling too much, I guess. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Stay tuned for week 2 games. There's a lot of very interesting matchups to come, and they could shake up the power rankings next week. But we'll always try to be as accurate and as basically what's the term?
Fair, unbiased.
Unbiased, yes. As unbiased as possible. And yeah, we will see you guys in week 2. Thank you for stopping by, and yeah, bye-bye.
Peace.